Hey there, this is Mr. Chan. Hello to you guys all at home in quarantine. This is a quick lesson, a quick introduction to what we're going to be doing in the next term, in term two. Uh, this term actually, because we're already inside of term two. But basically, we're going to be doing more shortcut, more advanced techniques about shortcut, but also just in general, more things we need to know when we're actually making short films, music videos, anything that's kind of like media, there's sorts of things you need to consider. Like what kind of shots you're gonna do is probably the first one I'm gonna focus on, and that's what we're gonna be doing for this lesson. So for every single one of these videos, we're gonna talk about what they are. I'm gonna talk through an example, and then for each of them, I'm gonna talk about what the shot kind of looks like, what kind of effect it should have on an audience, and what kind of situations you would use it in. So let's focus on the first one for now. You're not going to hear the sound in the video, but that's not important. I put the YouTube link here as well if you do really want to watch the clip. But I will just be talking over the video and telling you what kinds of things you need to look out for in the video. So let's start with the first one, the Mean Girls one. So in the Mean Girls one, we have a still shot. It's over the shoulder. It's really intimate. The majority of the screen is focused on a person's face. In this situation, we have Regina George and Katie over here from Mean Girls, and the focus is on actually what they're saying, the kinds of expressions on their faces. When you want to show the expression of people's faces, the things that they're talking about is the most important thing in the scene, then you want to use these kind of close-up shots, these still shots. And you kind of you can see that you're not really worried about these blurred out people in the background. You're really focused on these people that take up the majority of the screen. So when we go back to here, describe the shot. It's a shot that's the majority of the shot is got a person in front of it. It's a focus on one specific object. It could be a person, it could be a pen, it could be a piece of paper, it could be a clock, it could be a wall, it could be anything. But if its focus is on just one specific thing, um, and that one object takes up the majority of the screen, then you can call it a still shot or yeah, a still shot. So the second one, what kind of effect does it have on the audience? Generally speaking, what it does is it draws the audience's attention to specific to that object. So right now we'd be looking at Regina George. I can't remember her name, but the actress's name is Lacey, and then we have Amanda Seyfried here. So we focus on these three people. We're not worried about the people in the background. So it's to draw attention to certain things. What kind of situations would you use these shots in? Well, if the focus of it is on that object, if you're really worried about people seeing the expression of people's faces, you can see Amanda Seyfried is kind of surprised. She's really confident or whatever, and Lacey is kind of like shocked. You kind of yeah, it's a weird scene. It's pretty funny. You can check it out later, but the focus is on the people's faces, and you yeah. I feel like I'm over explaining here, but you get the point. Shaky cam, the next one. This is Taken 2. It's an example of shaky cam, and it's quite clear. Like it's very obvious what I mean by shaky cam. Literally, the camera is in the person's hand. It's moving all over the place. It's very it's just constantly moving all over the place, like back and forth, up, down, left, right, wherever. And generally speaking, people use shaky shots when they're making an action film because it generally makes you feel like it just makes you feel kind of like you're in the movie. You're with Liam Neeson and he's kind of like um, in the middle of these kinds of like dangerous situations. It just generally has that effect of making your adrenaline pumping. It makes you kind of feel like you have energy or you know. So I would say describe the shot. Well, the shot is it's shaky. It kind of moves back and forth, left, right, up, down. It's not it's handheld, and it's kind of more often than not, it's like there's a lot of action going on. It's following someone that's moving around a lot. What kind of effect does it have on the audience? Generally speaking, I'd say it energizes them, makes them feel like they're in an action movie, like makes it feel as if they're there. What kind of situations would you use these shots in? Well, the kind of situations would be if you want to make people feel that way. If you want to make people feel exhilarated, like make them feel like there's a lot of like they're pumped up, like they got a lot of adrenaline going, like they're watching a lot of action, then that would be where you would use shaky cam. The next one, wide shot. The wide shot is a bit special. Here, I'll show you an example. As you can see, this is not a still shot. This is not focused on a character anymore. It's focused on everything. You see that there's multiple things on the screen. None of them are things that you're focused on. Daniel Craig is just only like a small part of the screen here. There's a whole bunch on the left, whole bunch on the right. There's stuff in the middle going on. There's computers here. There's racks all over the place. There's windows. You're not focused on one thing. You're trying to capture everything inside of a room. And specifically in this one, I'm just gonna speed it up. Um, and you can see like in this scene, he doesn't even bother to move the computer, the camera. It's just focused on Javier Bardem here, the villain of this James Bond film, just kind of walking over slowly. I mean, the camera is kind of creeping up and meeting him. You can see it's kind of like moving towards Javier Bardem. But you can still see these guys are still not taking up, like, at this point, he's becoming the focus. But before, when he was back at the door, there was so much of the screen, like back here, you can see there's so much of the screen that we can look at as well. So this is called a wide shot. Um, what does it look like? Well, it's a wide shot. It's got a lot of different things. There's nothing that draws your attention. There's nothing that the shot is focused on. What kind of effect does it have on the audience? It makes the audience kind of their eyes focus on all parts of the scene. It makes them focus on the background of a scene. That makes them focus on, for example, the computer racks, the computers, the pillars, the door, the windows, everything that isn't the object. You know, what kind of situations would you use these shots in? The situations you would use these shots in is the situations where you want to show everything in the place. Like, for example, a good example is if you say you're doing a video in at the beach. A big wide shot would take into account would show the entire beach, the water, the sky, the seagulls, um, the trees. That's an example of when if you want to show people where the scene is happening, then that would be where then you would use a wide shot. Okay, and fine. This is rotating shot. You guys probably have seen this one. Um, oh whoops, oh whoopsies. Um, okay, so this is a rotating shot. It's just this, the camera is going round and round, and this one's really focused. It's got two characters in it, um, and it's focused on their expressions. But the rotation, the violence, yeah, the rotation is making the scene more intense. It makes you feel like something is going to happen. You're anticipating some kind of violence. Something's going to go wrong. It makes you feel like something is going to go wrong. So describe the shot. What does it look like? Well, it's just there's two things in the middle in this scene, and the camera is rotating around them. So it's basically you have an object in the middle of the scene, and the camera is going around that object. What kind of effect does it have on the audience? It generally makes them feel like something bad is going to happen. It could, or they're anticipating something. What kind of situations would you use these shots in? Well, when you want the audience to feel like something's going to happen. And the dolly zoom. This is a really interesting one, and it's a strange looking. Uh, yeah, it's right there. Again, it's kind of a weird one. It's not really clear what kind of emotions they're what kind of thing the filmmaker is making the person feel, the audience. Um, Sometimes, for example, in this one, it kind of makes you feel like something has gone really wrong yet again. This movie here is Jaws. This is a movie about a shark that kind of terrorizes. He appears in a beach and he kind of people die, innocent people die. But this is the scene where the shark first appears, and at least from what I remember. And so like that scene is kind of showing his horror, his shock at seeing what's happening. So I think when it comes to the dolly zoom, uh, well, what's the dolly zoom? Well, the dolly zoom, what it looks like is that where is it here? The the background is going is zooming out. It's disappearing into the distance, but the object that the camera is looking at is getting closer. You see that? So the background is moving away. Yeah, background's moving away, and then the object is getting closer. Yeah. So, what kind of effect and what kind of situations would you use this shot in? Um, if you feel like sorry, if you feel like the expression of a person's face is really important in a scene, if you feel like you want to make the audience make give off an impression like something bad is going to happen yet again, just like the rotating one. If you feel like there is something important is just about to happen, or something very important is happening right now, the dolly zoom is something you would use. Cool. So uh, that's my lesson for today, Monday. Um, Looking forward to talking to you guys on Tuesday. Submit this your worksheet with your name at the beginning to Google Classroom. Okay. I'll see you guys tomorrow.